The night sky above Earth's most advanced space observatory in Hawaii changed forever on October 15, 2045. Tom Baker, the lead astronomer, was about to end his shift when every detection system in the facility started blaring alerts. His coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor as he stared at the readings. "This can't be right," he whispered, fingers flying across the keyboard. The data showed multiple objects moving at speeds that should have been impossible. They were traveling faster than light itself, breaking every law of physics humans understood. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed the same readings. 27 objects, each larger than the biggest aircraft carrier ever built, were decelerating as they approached the solar system. The objects moved with purpose, adjusting their course in ways that proved they were ships, not natural phenomena. World leaders gathered in an emergency United Nations session. The usual political rivalries disappeared as humanity faced its first contact with an advanced alien civilization. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, but everyone knew their weapons might be useless against beings capable of faster-than-light travel. The alien ships entered orbit 3 days later. They positioned themselves above major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, and others. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic purple sheen that seemed to absorb sunlight. Each ship was shaped like an arrowhead, bristling with what could only be weapon systems. The first transmission came at noon GMT. Every screen on Earth, phones, computers, televisions, displayed the same image. The alien that appeared looked almost reptilian, with gray-blue scales and multiple yellow eyes. Its voice came through in perfect English, translated by their advanced systems. "People of Earth," it said, "we are the Dominion. We have watched your civilization's development for the past 100 years. You have proven yourselves too aggressive, too unpredictable to be allowed to develop further. Surrender your governments to Dominion control, and we will guide your species toward a proper path of evolution." The UN Security Council, meeting in their underground bunker, drafted a diplomatic response. They suggested peaceful cooperation, cultural exchange, and mutual learning. The Dominion's reply came within minutes. "Your proposal is rejected. You fail to understand your position. You are not our equals. You are primitive beings who have barely learned to split the atom. We do not negotiate with species that cannot even reach their own moon anymore." General Robert Wilson, watching from the Pentagon's war room, clenched his fists. "They did their homework," he said to his staff, "but they got one thing wrong. We haven't gone back to the moon, not because we can't, but because we've been focused on other priorities." The Dominion gave Earth 6 hours to surrender. World leaders debated, argued, and finally agreed. Humanity would not bow to alien demands. If these beings wanted Earth, they would have to fight for it. The Dominion's response was swift and brutal. At exactly 6 hours after their ultimatum, their ships fired the first shots of the war. Precision energy beams struck military bases worldwide. Installations that humans considered well hidden were destroyed in seconds. The aliens had clearly been mapping Earth's defenses for years. But they made their first mistake in those opening attacks. They assumed humans would panic, that the destruction of military bases would lead to mass surrender. Instead, humanity showed its true nature. In the smoking ruins of Fort Carson, Private Linda Mills pulled herself from the wreckage of her barracks. Instead of running, she helped organize survivors and set up a makeshift command center. Similar scenes played out at military bases worldwide. Humans didn't break. They adapted. The first day of the war ended with humanity bloodied but unbowed. In secret bunkers deep underground, scientists and military leaders gathered to analyze the attacks. They had recorded every second of the Dominion's assault, studying their weapons, looking for patterns and weaknesses. The aliens had shown their power, but they had also shown something else: arrogance. They thought their technological superiority guaranteed victory. They didn't understand that humans had faced overwhelming odds before. They didn't know that humanity fought hardest when pushed to the wall. The real war was about to begin. 1 week after the initial attack, the Dominion launched what they believed would be their final assault on Earth. Their ships descended from orbit, moving into the atmosphere with a confidence that bordered on carelessness. They had conquered hundreds of worlds before, and to them, Earth was just another primitive planet to add to their empire. Commander Jack Thompson watched from an underground bunker as alien ships flew overhead. The bunker wasn't on any official maps. It had been built in secret years ago, hidden beneath an ordinary farm in Kansas. The aliens had missed it completely in their first strike. "They're not even trying to hide their approach," he muttered, studying the radar screens. The alien ships moved in straight lines, not bothering with evasive patterns. Their shields glowed bright purple, clearly visible even in daylight. The first wave of Dominion ground troops landed in major cities. They wore powered armor that made them tower over humans, carrying weapons that could vaporize tanks. They expected the remaining human forces to run. Instead, they found empty streets. The surviving military and civilian populations had gone underground, just as planned. Thompson smiled as the reports came in. The aliens were following the exact pattern their intelligence had predicted. "Begin Operation Mousetrap," he ordered. Across the globe, hidden sensors recorded every detail about the alien technology. Their shield frequencies, weapon emissions, and armor compositions were analyzed by computers hidden in hardened bunkers. The aliens thought they had destroyed Earth's research capabilities in their first strike. They were wrong. Dr. Wright's voice crackled over the secure channel from her lab deep under the Rocky Mountains. "Commander, we're seeing something interesting. Their shields, they pulse at regular intervals. There's a pattern." Thompson leaned forward. "Can we use that?" "Maybe," Wright replied. "Every 93 seconds, their shields shift frequency. For a fraction of a second, they're weaker. If we time it right." "Send the data to all remaining combat units," Thompson ordered. It wasn't much, but it was the first weakness they'd found in the apparently invincible alien technology. The Dominion forces continued their advance, moving through cities with their weapons ready. They found no resistance, which made their commanders suspicious. In their experience, primitive species usually fought to the last in their population centers. Then humanity struck back. Precisely timed missiles launched from hidden silos. Most were destroyed by alien shields, but some, the ones that hit at exactly the right moment, got through. A Dominion ship above Chicago tumbled from the sky, its shields flickering and dying. The aliens responded with overwhelming force, glassing entire city blocks. But they still couldn't find their attackers. Humans had learned from their own history of warfare. They fought like ghosts, striking and disappearing. Underground, Thompson watched the battle unfold. The aliens had lost 3 ships now. It wasn't much compared to their total fleet, but it was more than they had lost in their last 10 conquests combined. "Send the second wave," he ordered. This time, the missiles carried a surprise. When they exploded against the alien shields, they released clouds of specialized nanomaterials designed by Dr. Wright's team. The particles attached themselves to the shield generators, gathering data. The Dominion commanders finally realized something was wrong. Their easy conquest had turned into a real fight. They pulled their forces back to higher altitudes, out of range of ground-based weapons. "They're retreating," someone cheered in the bunker. "No," Thompson said quietly. "They're regrouping. Now they know we can hurt them. The real battle is just beginning." In her lab, Dr. Wright studied the data from the nanomaterial sensors. "Commander, we've got it. Their shield technology. It's not as advanced as we thought. It's just more powerful. They'd been brute forcing their way across the galaxy. We can work with this." Thompson nodded. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something better. The ability to adapt, to find weaknesses, to improvise. The Dominion was about to learn that technology alone doesn't win wars. As night fell over a changed Earth, both sides prepared for what would come next. The aliens had power, but humans had determination. And for the first time since the invasion began, humanity had hope. 3 weeks after humanity's first successful counterattack, the underground research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with activity. Dr. Wright hadn't slept in 2 days, but her eyes were bright with excitement as she walked into the command center. "We did it," she announced, placing a small device on the meeting table. It looked simple, just a metal box with a few buttons, but it represented humanity's first real chance at victory. Commander Thompson picked up the device, turning it over in his hands. "This is what you've been working on. We call it the shield cracker," Wright explained. "It generates the exact frequency that disrupts their shield technology. We reversed engineered it from the ship we shot down over Chicago." Military leaders from around the world watched through secure video links as Wright demonstrated the device. When activated, it created a field that matched the pulse rate of Dominion shields, causing them to collapse. "How many can we make?" General Miller asked from his bunker in Australia. "That's the best part," Wright smiled. "We designed it using parts we can find in any electronics store. We can make thousands." The news spread through the resistance network. For the first time, humans had a weapon specifically designed to fight the Dominion. Underground factories began production immediately. Above ground, the aliens continued their occupation. They had established bases in the ruins of major cities, but they were growing frustrated. Human resistance was unlike anything they had faced before. Their ground troops were constantly harassed by invisible attackers. Their supply lines were disrupted by precisely timed strikes. The Dominion commander, watching from his flagship above Earth, received increasingly worried reports. His soldiers were being picked off one by one. Several more ships had been damaged. The humans weren't just hiding. They were learning, adapting, becoming more dangerous every day. 1 month after the invasion began, humanity launched its first coordinated counterattack. It started with what looked like a simple raid on a Dominion base near the ruins of London. As alien troops moved to respond, they suddenly found their shields failing. Private Mills, now leading a resistance cell, watched through binoculars as the shield crackers did their work. The mighty Dominion soldiers, without their protective fields, fell to ordinary human weapons. Their advanced armor, designed to work with their shields, became a hindrance. "All units, move in," she ordered. Her team had been practicing for this moment for weeks. They knew exactly where to hit, how to move, how to fight an enemy that had never faced real resistance before. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the humans had captured their first alien base intact. More importantly, they had captured working examples of Dominion technology. Similar attacks happened simultaneously worldwide. The aliens found themselves being pushed back, forced to abandon their forward bases and retreat to more defensible positions. Their commanders couldn't understand what was happening. How could primitives who had barely reached space be defeating their advanced forces? In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Wright and her team worked around the clock, studying each piece of captured technology. They weren't just copying it. They were improving it, adapting it to work with human systems. "They've been relying on their technological advantage for too long," she explained to Thompson. "They stopped innovating centuries ago, but we've had to fight for every advancement we've ever made. That's our real strength." The Dominion responded to these defeats with overwhelming force, destroying entire regions with orbital bombardment. But they couldn't hit what they couldn't find. Human forces stayed mobile, striking from hidden bases, disappearing before retaliation could arrive. As the sun set on another day of war, Commander Thompson watched new recruits training with captured alien weapons. They learned fast, adapted quickly, showed the innovation that had always been humanity's greatest asset. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Phase 2 begins tomorrow. It's time to show the Dominion what happens when you corner a species that never learned how to surrender." 2 months into the war, Earth's surface had become a wasteland of ruined cities and scorched earth. But beneath the destruction, humanity was far from defeated. Underground networks spread like roots, connecting hidden bases and resistance cells across the planet. In what used to be New York's subway system, now converted into a massive shelter, Private Mills trained new recruits how to use the shield crackers. Her unit had grown from a small team to an army of hundreds. "Remember," she told them, holding up the device, "timing is everything. Hit them when their shields pulse, and even their biggest ships become vulnerable." The recruits weren't soldiers. They were teachers, construction workers, and office clerks. But they learned quickly. They had to. Each of them had lost something to the Dominion, and that loss had turned into determination. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Wright made another breakthrough. She stood in front of Commander Thompson and the military council, projecting a hologram of a Dominion ship. "We've been looking at their technology all wrong," she explained. "Their weapons aren't more advanced than ours. They're just scaled-up versions of the same principles. They're like bullies who got bigger but never learned proper fighting techniques." She pressed a button, and the hologram showed the inside of the alien ship. "Look at their engine design. It's wasteful, inefficient. They have so much power they never needed to make it better. We can build something smaller, faster, and more efficient." Thompson leaned forward. "How long?" "We've already started. The first prototype will be ready in a week." Around the world, humans began turning the tide. The Dominion's occupation forces found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't see. Their bases were sabotaged by workers they thought they had enslaved. Their communications were hacked by teenagers who had grown up breaking into computer systems for fun. In orbit, the alien commander received more disturbing reports. His ground forces were taking heavy losses. 3 more ships had been damaged in the past week alone. The humans weren't just resisting, they were winning. He sent a message to the Dominion homeworld requesting reinforcements. The reply shocked him. "Request denied. No additional resources will be wasted on a primitive world. Complete your mission with current forces." Underground, the resistance prepared for their biggest operation yet. Dr. Wright's team had modified captured alien ships, improving their engines, streamlining their systems. Human pilots learned to fly them, finding them surprisingly simple once they understood the basic principles. "Their technology is like a sledgehammer," one pilot said during training. "Powerful, but crude. Ours is like a scalpel." Private Mills led a raid on a Dominion supply base. Her team moved silently through the ruins, shield crackers ready. They had done this so many times now it felt like a dance. The aliens never saw them coming. But this time was different. As they secured the base, they found something unexpected. Alien civilians, technical workers, maintenance crews, beings who weren't soldiers at all. "They're just like us," Mills radioed back to command. "They have families, workers, ordinary people." Thompson considered this news carefully. It was a reminder that their enemy, despite their arrogance, were people too. But it was also a weakness they could exploit. The civilian aliens were treated well, kept safe in comfortable detention. Word spread through the Dominion forces that humans weren't the savages they had been told. Some began to question their leaders' decisions. As the resistance grew stronger, Dr. Wright prepared to test her modified alien ship. If it worked, humanity would have a weapon that could take the fight to the enemy's home territory. "We're ready," she told Thompson. "Tomorrow, we show them what happens when you force humans to improve their technology." The aliens had wanted to prevent humanity from advancing. Instead, they had forced humans to make 100 years of progress in just 2 months. Their greatest mistake was giving humanity a reason to unite, to innovate, to fight back. The real revolution was about to begin. 3 months into the war, humanity was ready to launch its biggest attack yet. In bunkers around the world, resistance fighters prepared for what everyone called Operation Payback. Dr. Wright stood in the command center, now moved to an underground base in the Australian outback. On the main screen, dozens of modified alien ships filled a massive hidden hangar. Each one had been rebuilt with human innovations, their clumsy Dominion technology replaced with more efficient systems. "All ships report ready," A technician announced. Shield crackers are installed and powered up. Commander Thompson looked at the mission clock. In 6 hours, the sun would rise over North America. That was when they would strike. Send the signal, he ordered. All units begin final preparations. Around the world, resistance cells moved into position. Private Mills led her team through the ruins of New York, setting up portable shield crackers at key points. Similar teams worked in every major city the Dominion still controlled. In orbit, the alien commander noticed increased activity on his sensors. But after months of constant guerrilla attacks, his forces were spread thin. He had lost too many ships and troops to maintain proper surveillance. Just another raid, he told his officers. Let the ground forces handle it. He was wrong. At exactly dawn, every shield cracker on Earth activated at once. A wave of energy swept across the planet, carefully tuned to the exact frequency that would disrupt Dominion shield technology. In that moment, the most powerful alien fleet in the galaxy became vulnerable. All units, attack. Thompson's voice rang through secure channels worldwide. The modified human ships rose from their hidden bases. They were smaller than the Dominion vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Their human pilots had trained for months in simulators, learning every weakness in alien ship design. Private Mills watched from the ground as the battle began. Human ships darted between the larger alien vessels, their weapons striking with surgical precision. The Dominion ships tried to fight back, but without their shields, they were surprisingly fragile. They never had to design better armor, Dr. Wright explained over the command channel. They always relied on their shields. That's their weakness. They stopped improving centuries ago. The alien commander watched in horror as his fleet began to fall. Human weapons, enhanced with captured Dominion technology, cut through his ship's unprotected hulls. He tried to call for retreat, but the humans had learned to jam their communications. On the ground, resistance fighters struck at every Dominion base simultaneously. The aliens found themselves under attack from all sides, their superior weapons useless against enemies they couldn't find or hit. By noon, the battle was over. 7 Dominion ships had been destroyed, and 12 more had surrendered. The alien commander's flagship was among those captured, with all its senior officers detained. In the command center, Dr. Wright studied data from the battle. Their technology isn't magic, she told Thompson. It's just physics. Once we understood that, we could beat it. Private Mills and her team secured the alien command center in New York. They found the Dominion officers in shock, unable to understand how primitives had defeated them. How? One alien commander asked her. How did you do this? You made a mistake, Mills replied. You thought technology alone makes a species advanced. But real advancement comes from never stopping learning, never stopping trying to improve. Thompson received reports from around the world. The Dominion's grip on Earth was broken. Their remaining forces were retreating, pulling back to high orbit. For the first time since the invasion began, humans controlled the surface of their planet. But everyone knew this wasn't the end. The Dominion would send more ships, more troops. They couldn't allow Earth to defeat them. It would threaten their control over every other world they had conquered. Prepare Phase 2, Thompson ordered. It's time to take the fight to them. Humanity had won its first major victory. Now they would show the galaxy why you should never underestimate a species that thrives on overcoming challenges. 4 months after the Dominion's first attack on Earth, humanity prepared for something that had never happened in galactic history. A counter-invasion by a primitive species. In the captured Dominion flagship, now renamed Humanity's Hope, Commander Thompson studied the alien star charts. Earth's scientists had decoded the Dominion's navigation systems, revealing the location of their major military bases. Their empire is bigger than we imagined, he told Dr. Wright, who stood beside him. But they spread themselves too thin. Just like on Earth, they rely on fear and superior technology to control everything. And now we have better technology, Wright replied. She had spent weeks improving the captured ships, making them faster and more efficient. Their biggest weakness is their own confidence. They never expected anyone to fight back. The joint Earth fleet consisted of 30 ships, 10 captured Dominion vessels, and 20 human-built ships using reverse-engineered alien technology. Each one carried improved versions of the shield cracker, modified to work at longer ranges. Private Mills, now promoted to captain, led the ground assault team. Her soldiers trained in zero gravity, preparing to board enemy stations and ships. They wore improved versions of Dominion armor, modified by human engineers to be more flexible and responsive. "Remember your training," she told her troops. "They think they're superior. That makes them predictable." The fleet launched at midnight. Using the Dominion's own faster-than-light drive technology, they targeted the nearest alien military base, a massive space station orbiting a red dwarf star. The alien garrison never saw them coming. The human fleet dropped out of FTL speed directly above the station, shield crackers firing immediately. Before the Dominion forces could react, their defensive systems were down. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Thompson ordered. The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the aliens. Smaller ships darted between the station's defense towers while larger vessels provided covering fire. Captain Mills led the boarding party, breaching the station's hull using techniques perfected during the Earth resistance. The alien defenders fell back in confusion, unused to enemies who could match their technology and fight with superior tactics. "They don't know how to react," Mills reported back as her team secured the station's control center. "Their training assumes they'll always have superior firepower. They never planned for this." News of the attack spread through the Dominion Empire. For the first time in their history, they were being invaded. Their leaders had hidden their defeat on Earth, but they couldn't hide this. On their homeworld, the Dominion High Command met in emergency session. Reports flooded in from across their territory. More human attacks, more bases falling, more ships being captured or destroyed. The creatures they had dismissed as primitives were systematically taking apart their empire. Dr. Wright coordinated the technical aspects of the invasion from the flagship. Each captured base provided new technology, new information, and new opportunities. Humanity's understanding of alien science grew exponentially. Their biggest mistake, she explained to Thompson, was thinking that progress only means having better weapons. They forgot that true advancement comes from learning, adapting, and overcoming challenges. The Dominion attempted to rally their forces, but centuries of easy victories had left them unprepared for real warfare. Their ships were powerful but poorly coordinated. Their troops were well-armed but inflexible in their tactics. By the end of the first week, humanity had captured 3 major bases and liberated 2 worlds previously conquered by the Dominion. The alien empire's other subjects watched in amazement as their supposedly invincible masters retreated before human attacks. "Send word to all commands," Thompson ordered. "Phase 3 begins tomorrow. We're taking the fight to their homeworld." The Dominion had wanted to prevent humanity from becoming a galactic power. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared, but far sooner than nature would have allowed. Their attack on Earth had forced humanity to advance centuries in just a few months. Now they would face the consequences of their mistake. 6 months after the Dominion first appeared in Earth's skies, their homeworld faced something they had never imagined possible: defeat at the hands of a primitive species. The human fleet, now grown to over 100 ships, emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation above the Dominion capital world. Their vessels were a mix of captured alien ships and human-built craft that had already become legendary across the galaxy. Commander Thompson stood on the bridge of humanity's hope, looking at the purple-tinted planet below. "Send the message," he ordered. Dr. Wright, who had insisted on being present for this historic moment, transmitted the carefully prepared declaration. It broadcast on all Dominion frequencies in their own language. "Attention Dominion High Command. This is the United Earth Fleet. Your empire has fallen. Your outer worlds have been liberated. Your military bases have been captured or destroyed. Surrender now, or face the consequences of your choices. On the planet below, panic spread through the Dominion leadership. Their carefully maintained illusion of superiority shattered as citizens saw human ships filling their skies. The same scene they had created over Earth now played out above their own world. Captain Mills led the first ground team to secure the Dominion's central government complex. Her soldiers moved with precision, born from months of combat experience. The alien defenders, fighting on their own soil for the first time, fell back in disarray. "Main building secured," she reported. "Their leaders are trying to destroy their records, but we got here too fast." Those records revealed the full extent of the Dominion's empire and their crimes. Hundreds of species had been conquered, forced into submission by the aliens' superior technology. But now those same species watched as humans dismantled the empire that had oppressed them. "You don't understand," one captured Dominion leader told Dr. Wright during interrogation. "We did this for the galaxy's own good. Lesser species need guidance." "No," Wright replied. "You did it because it was easy, because having better weapons made you think you were better beings. That was your mistake." The surrender ceremony took place in the same hall where the Dominion had planned their conquest of Earth. Thompson stood before the alien leaders, but his words were broadcast to every world in their former empire. "Earth does not seek revenge," he announced. "We don't want to rule you. We want to ensure this never happens again. Every species has the right to develop in their own way, at their own pace. That is what we will protect." In the following weeks, a new galactic council formed. Representatives from Earth worked with delegates from liberated worlds to create a system of mutual defense and cooperation. The Dominion's technology was shared, but with it came humanity's most important lesson. True advancement comes from overcoming challenges, not from overwhelming power. Private Mills, now Colonel Mills, led the effort to help former Dominion soldiers adjust to the new reality. Many had never questioned their society's beliefs about superior and inferior species. Now they learned to see other beings as equals. Dr. Wright established a new research center where scientists from all species could work together. The Dominion's mistake, she explained to the first group of alien researchers, was thinking they had nothing left to learn. We must never make that same mistake. 6 months of war had changed humanity forever. Earth had advanced centuries beyond its previous technology level. Humans had gone from a single planet to a major galactic power, but they remembered the lessons of their victory. Commander Thompson, reading reports from across the galaxy, smiled as he saw how former enemy worlds were already beginning to change. The Dominion had wanted to prevent humanity from joining galactic civilization. Instead, they had created something better. A civilization where strength came from cooperation, not conquest. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them it's done. Tell them we won." Humanity had not just survived, they had changed the galaxy forever. And they would make sure no species ever forgot the lesson. Never underestimate those you think inferior. They might just prove to be better than you imagine.